Hello and welcome to the Leeds App Podcast. I'm James and I'm with Rocco Dean.
Hello.
And Darragh Cunningham.
Hello there.
A subdued hello there this week. After Leeds United, a tough day out on the south coast, rain, router and a reality check for Leeds. But before we get into that, special thanks to Bass and Bligh, sponsor of the podcast, independent photographic dealership based in Harrogate for over 60 years. They sell cameras, binoculars, spotting scopes, stocking Canon, Fujifilm, Nikon, Sony and Rocco.
Pentax.
Thank you very much. And they sell premium optics, binoculars such as Swarovski, Leica and Zeiss. They are the best when it comes to buying and selling used gear. And they've got an offer at the minute. When you spend £100, you can get £10 off. So there's a little voucher pop up on the website. Make sure you sign up there. And yeah, they're going to be very busy in the run up to Black Friday. So go onto the website, sign up to the email list, and there's going to be some stupid offers in the next few weeks. I don't even know when Black Friday is. Is it like 2 or 3 weeks? I think you'll know because it'll be everywhere. So yeah, go to
triple November, won't it soon?
Yeah, just that's it.
And extending out.
Extend the month of November.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be make sure you go to www.bassandbligh.com or bassandbligh.com and you can also visit them in Harrogate on 6 Beulah Street. So special thanks, Bass and Bligh. I don't even know where to begin other than 3-0 loss. Everyone was a bit sad. And why do I always go away on holiday when the good results come in, and then I have to come back and do the sad ones?
Serves you right.
It's probably, yeah, well, it does. And thanks for covering me. And even though you were gaslighting me on the podcast as well, you're both forgiven.
Wasn't so much gaslighting as just outright lying.
Yeah, bit of both. But I can take it. It's fine.
Twisting of the truth. It wasn't lying.
Should we just talk about this for like 45 minutes?
Yeah, let's just
talk about what the truths of life are. And AI one day
we could
will
just
be
lie about the match. We could lie and say how brilliant Leeds were and that our away form is absolutely stellar, that Farke is absolutely nailing it away from home with the right selection and tactics, and that we look like scoring pretty much at will for the last 2 games. Now, I obviously have some broader issues to talk about, but maybe we'll start with the match, will we?
Yeah, we probably should. I mean, I said this before that I always struggle to watch the highlights back after a defeat, but I did watch them this time, and I watched the extended highlights on LUTV, and it showed. I mean, this is how obviously poor we were in general on the day, but one of the main highlights was Okafor turning someone and then playing a crossfield ball out of play. It's like, how has that made that to the extended highlights? But I think that sort of summed it up for me, really. We started off quite bright in the first few minutes, but then they scored 10 minutes in, and yeah, it just felt like there was little mistakes being made all over the park, and probably a combination of tactically maybe not getting it right, personnel not turning up on the day, as not particularly doing a good job overall. What are your thoughts, Rock?
Well, I have to out myself because I couldn't watch the game. It was my son's party, and I couldn't bring myself to watch the whole thing back today. I did a 10-mile run, and that was enough pain. I couldn't then get in and watch that rubbish. But I watched the half-hour highlights.
On your run, though, did you think about the game a lot? Because that's what I always used to do, is think about a defeat on a run, and it's either good for processing or just depressing because you're angry whilst you're exercising.
I used it as my motivation. I said, if I can get around without stopping, then I don't have to watch the whole match back. So I managed to do that. And I was stewing on the run because I had seen the goals at that point. And when I saw the highlights back, it paints a bad picture. They have a very bad day at the office, like Farke said. I mean, we just weren't at the races, and I'm friends with someone at Brighton, and to be fair, I asked him, like, how worried should we be, and he said, well, we were very, very good. So that was Brighton sort of at their best, and I think the commentator mentioned that, like, the best pressing team in the division for stats wise. They've got the most turnovers in the opposition territory or something. So they were completely bang on it. Maybe that was because we were off it. But I don't know how much you can put it down to just a bad day at the office. We'll find out over the coming weeks. But when you look at the away game so far, it's obviously not been good enough.
Darragh, fans are obviously frustrated, but it's not cause for panic, is it, at the minute?
I think it might be.
Really?
It might be. Yeah, I mean, look, in isolation, losing to Brighton, I think we all knew it was going to happen. I think someone in the comments there, and apologies, I don't know who it was. I think it was, sorry, I won't go. Mark was saying we lost to an average Brighton side. I disagree with that. I think Brighton are very good. Like, we have to remember, this is the most competitive league in the world, with some of the highest paid players, which makes them some of the best players in the world. And Brighton are a top 10 side. So for me, Brighton are one of the best teams in world football. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're Real Madrid, but they're in the top 30, 40, 50 teams in the world. So that's who we're playing against. And they are a very, very good side. I mean, put it in perspective, Brighton sold a striker for 40 million quid in the summer and it barely made a headline because that's just what they do. You know what I mean? Like, they're the type of players they can afford to just let go quietly. And it was Evan Ferguson, the guy who's doing, he was doing very well at Roma. He's suffering a bit now. I thought we should have got him. So, no, in isolation, losing to Brighton, no big deal. But there's some broader issues that I'd like to raise maybe when we get to the end of the game that I think people are right to be concerned about. I think there's no issue in raising those issues. But on the game itself, I thought we started off a little lackluster. I think it was the same old problems again. That lack of tempo is just really concerning away from home. There was no tempo, no urgency. And when they took the lead, it was no surprise. They had been on the front foot for most of that 10 minutes anyway. They were probably unlucky not to be up already. And then suddenly we kind of woke up. And that goal was a bit annoying when we talked about that at start. But I thought we were actually the better team for a good 50 minutes after that, only marginally, and they did look more dangerous, still look more dangerous than us, but we did get more into them. But that first goal really bothered me. I've watched it back a few times, and a clever little ball dinked over the defender's leg, and then the player comes in. I don't know who he was, but when you look at where he makes contact with the ball to cut it back to Welbeck, if Perry just stays on his line, it's almost impossible to beat him. So I've no idea why he came out for that. If he just stays on his line, he makes it really difficult. So really poor decision by Lucas Perry there, which ultimately I think cost us a goal because Welbeck ends up with a tap in when if the keeper's there, he has to place it somewhere because if he hits it where he hits it, keeper saves it. So yeah, a litany of errors on that one, but particularly down to Lucas Perry for me in the first goal. I thought he was very poor.
Yeah, I think, when Welbeck finished that, I just thought, oh, here we go. It's always Welbeck against us, and he's been scoring of late as well, and he's a great finisher. Did he actually dink the ball over as well for the run up to that goal and then come in for the shot as well?
I don't think so.
Or was it not?
I don't think so.
But I did think as well when when Perry came out, it did feel like there was no one really watching him as well. Everyone was kind of watching the ball and moving towards that rather than watching the players coming in as well. So, and that happened a few times, which was the frustrating thing. Rocco, did you? I mean, I know you want to have a bit of a rant later on. Maybe there's cause for it now. We'll see.
Shall I get straight into it?
Hang on a minute, then. Let me play it. Where is it? I can't remember where it is. Here we go.
You know what really annoys me?
Oh dear.
Go on, Rocco.
Well, it's a bit dramatic to say that I've only seen him play once and then on the highlights yesterday, but I am extremely worried about Bligh. I just think the guy's just brainless, to be honest. Like, he's got no anticipation. He's ball watching constantly. He's sluggish. He can't pick up a man. You know, the amount of times, not just the goals, but the amount of times where we're watching a highlight and like, I'm thinking, where's Rodon's partner? Like the defenders are in all right positions, and Biol's just like nowhere to be seen. It's like we're playing with one at the back. I am really worried. I've literally been so busy this week, and I've not seen any response. I don't know if anyone's talking about him, but you know, I mean, I sent you a couple of videos. Like, it just wound me up because it was just so poor. And yeah, I think Strike will come back in. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. And the other thing that I want to say, just to put something right, like people say, oh, we spent all this money on him, like he has to play. It's not true. It's not true because we've spent like over 100 million. He accounted for just a small portion of that. It's not like he's a 40 million pound defender that we've sort of put all our eggs into one basket. It's just, we needed a third centre back. And we went out and we got this guy from, the lower league in Serie A, bottom half of Serie A. It's just a player that we could afford and that we could get for the level that we were at. And, he's here to compete with Strauch. So I don't think there's any case that he has to play. And I am worried. I just think he's not impressed me whatsoever at all. Maybe it's rustiness, maybe it's nerves, getting used to the league, but he does not look good to me.
I think we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, didn't we? That there's a call for Biol to come into the team, but there's a loading period of that, and him getting up to speed. So, like you say, Rocco, at the end there, it might be a case that he is rusty and just not up to Premier League standard yet. But it's a pretty big wake up call to kind of say, look, you've really got to be sharper and you've really got to be watching the game, because they all talk about it, don't they? The tempo of the game is super fast. So I think maybe in Serie A you've got more time to sort of get back in position, really think about it, but there is no time in the Premier League, and that's the lessons that have got to be learned very quickly for players like Biol.
You see, for me, lads, I actually have to totally disagree. And it goes back to the recruitment process and the style of play that we were promised at the start of the season, or at least we thought we were promised by what appeared to be that recruitment. And when we look at the players we bought, big, industrious, hard workers, Biol fits into a certain style of play that is generally sitting a little bit deeper so that his lack of pace is not exposed, and his ability to get blocks, make last-ditch tackles, throw his body in the line, and anticipate is very, very good. What we saw against Brighton, I think, is a failure of tactics. There was one point in the first half where we were pushed up, and I looked to the back. I saw the ball being passed backwards, and it was to Rodon, but we was inside their final third, and I looked beside him, and there's Biol, and I'm like, oh my god, our two centre backs are pushed up like 20 yards inside their half. And what happened? They broke, and this is the one where I think it was Minte got the ball and he ran all the way into our box. And he shot it low and hard, just a couple of inches past the post, probably should have scored. And for me, if we're going to buy all these players, then we need to play to the tactics that they were bought for, because there was clearly a certain style of play that we had at the start of the season. Like we did it against Newcastle, we did it against Everton, we did it against, who's the fourth team we played? I can't remember now, Fulham maybe. But we did it against them and we looked good. And then suddenly now we're playing this kind of more open style, and it's really not suiting us, and it's not suiting the players we've bought. So for me, players have to take individual responsibility. But if you buy a player for a certain style of play and then you play a completely different style of play, I think it's a bit harsh to completely write him off. Or no, you're not doing that, but even slag him off in a second game while he's still getting used to this, because I don't think that's the style he was bought for. I don't get this away style at all. I don't get it at all. I don't think it's the style we should be playing, and the stats will back me up with that when we come to the end. But yeah, I thought Biol was as bad or as good as anyone else, but we're just not playing to his strengths, and I don't think we're playing to anyone's strengths away from home.
Do you think because there was an argument that we always needed the killer edge to us, but we're not even near anyone to get the killer edge, and it feels like it's a rhythmic thing, like the team's not playing to the right rhythm, because they were so good at pressing us in our own half. And usually where we're passing it around the back, there's no real pressure on them. The forwards drop off, and then we're able to sort of get out. They just weren't giving us any time whatsoever. You could tell we just looked so uncomfortable on the ball in our own half. And I think maybe Darragh, is this sort of adding to your point, really, that there's a bit of naivety there in that we probably shouldn't play possession football all the time. And that's where I thought things would differ in the Premier League, in that we would just kind of let some teams have a go at us and us try and intercept and get them on the counter. And we don't really seem to be playing that at all, which is kind of what I thought we would do more away from home. It's interesting, really, isn't it? Because we're talking about give the ball away, like we don't want to have the possession, which is sort of so anti where we were a few years ago. Not to mention any names already, but it's kind of like, well, is that when we're getting into the barrels of despair and thinking about being quite close to the relegation zone, you actually think, shit, do we need to play in that way to kind of start picking up points?
Well, we did it against Newcastle at home, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, that's what we did, and we did it really well, and it worked well. And there have been games where we've been very good in possession. I mean, Man U pre-season, you know, it was impressive. You know, the way we kept the ball, and we've done it in home games as well. You know, we've at times we've looked like a good, accomplished Premier League team, as we've said, and that's why we've been happy. And yeah, the title of the pod is perfect, and I just feel like it was a reality check, and just so many people look so far off it. And you know, you've got players like Tanaka, who we all love, we all thought was going to have a great season. We need him to have a great season, and he's not. I mean, he's not really had much chances, and totally understandable. But yeah, we needed people like him to be stepping up, and I think we said at the start of the season as well, like either Calvert-Lewin or Metcha has to be really good. Well, he's playing well, Calvert-Lewin, but he's not scoring, not really looking like scoring, and the wingers we're not getting anything from. So, we're down to needing Dan James or Gnonto to have like brilliant seasons. Like they actually, if that doesn't happen, we're in big trouble, because I don't know how many home results you can scrape and stay up this season, because like we've seen today, West Ham have won, they've beaten Newcastle at home 3-1. Wolves are probably down. They've just sacked the manager. But Forest and West Ham and Burnley are right there. But yeah, mainly Forest and West Ham. If they both overtake us, then we're toast.
Yeah, I think you're both touching on the right thing for me. But I'll probably go a little bit further, I suppose. I just think it's a tactical failure. So, I mean, when we talk about the ability to play around at the back, if you want to play around the back, don't buy Yakabia. Like that was never what his profile was. And I don't pretend to be an expert on Yakabia. I know what I know from various news outlets about the type of player he is, but that's certainly not someone who's incredible on the ball. Equally, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we've seen his strengths are in the air. So if we're going to play a high press away from home against a team that, to be fair, have 11 starters who are every single one of them is better than our 11, and we're going to try and high press them into their final third, then Yakabia isn't the player to sign. And equally, if you want to play around the back, then don't play Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Play Piru. If you're going to play around the back, if you want to knock it long, that's what you have Calvert-Lewin for. Let him do his thing, get up, win headers, bring other players into play, hold it up, fight battle. That's what he's brilliant at. But you're gonna play these two players and then play tactics that don't suit them. So I don't know. I just don't get it. And the chance creation is a big part of that. And I think if we look at games in blocks, our last two away games, we haven't looked like scoring a goal. So you got Burnley, which was a 2-0 defeat. And yes, statistically, 1.7 XG or whatever and 17 shots. We never looked like scoring. Ever. We did not look like scoring in that game. And we didn't look like scoring again yesterday. And I did a little analysis, right? So you got our away games this season have been Arsenal, Sheffield Wednesday, Fulham, Wolves, Burnley, and Brighton. So we've won 1 out of 6. And we've only played decent in 2 out of 6. We got mullered against Arsenal. We were shambolic against Sheffield Wednesday. We were shambolic against Burnley. We were shambolic again yesterday. So that's really concerning for me that hasn't flipped the switch in Farke's head to say, okay, I need a home tactic for when I've got the Ellen Road crowd and we're front foot and aggressive and we're slamming them. But when other teams are front foot and aggressive against us, I need an away tactic. And the two very different away games. So if you take Burnley, for example, Burnley don't like having the ball. They give you the ball, they try to soak it up and hit you on the break. But he played Tanaka. Now, he played Stack. Sorry, he played Stack against that. I was crying out for Tanaka in that game because I was like, we're going to have the ball. We need someone who can string some passes to get our link to play, all that stuff. Then away game to Brighton, Where Brighton are going to have the ball, we need to make it a scrap. We need to get in their faces. We need to win second balls. We need to not be overrun in midfield. He plays Tanaka. And I'm kind of going, now, I'm not saying one player changes the whole dynamic of the match either. Like, neither Tanaka nor Stack are good enough to run an entire game and influence the complete outcome of the game. So I'm not trying to say he is. They are. But I do think in the Premier League, when you're already up against it with a squad that isn't of equal quality to your opponents, you've got to get your selections right. And I think he got his selection right against West Ham and we got our rewards there. But I think in his last 2 away games, he's gotten his selection wrong. And I think the away tactics are so predictable, so similar to home tactics, but with less tempo, that I really worry about our away form and what he's doing to address it, because it just seems to be the exact same thing week in, week out. And other teams are more aggressive because they're at home. They're more in the front foot. They've got better squads than us. And we're just trying this same. Just go backs to the wall. Just try and grind out a 0-all and get them on a set piece. What's wrong with that?
I think that's the thing for me in that we're racking up losses all of a sudden. Well, we lost 5 now, and even draws would be okay. Like we just need some points on the board, and it kind of goes back to what we we're saying earlier on around grinding out results. Don't always have to play possession football. And to your point, Darragh, does that mean it's a home versus away tactic, or is it just for opponents that are really good like Brighton? We probably just play with less of the ball, regardless of whether it's home or away. Rocco, where are you at on that?
I just don't think we're not a hard team to play against. We're a pretty easy team to play against. And going back to my big bashing, he never put a single tackle in the whole game, according to the stats on FotMob. So, I mean, what does that tell you? That we're a soft touch. That's what it tells me. And that's not really a be-all criticism. It is a bit, but also it also speaks to the team itself. I don't know. What did you lads think of Ampadu? Because I've been seeing that he's, I don't know, bit off colour. Do we think? I was a bit surprised when we spoke to Isaac Johnson of Leeds Live, and he sort of thought that Ampadu could be giving more, and I was a bit surprised at that point. But since then, it's almost like he forecast it, because is he a bit off the boil?
He had a few passes that were a bit astray, and there's been that in the last few games, but I don't think it's just Ampadu though. I think there's more. There's more to come from all of them, or there should be more to come from. Like we said about Tanaka, we've got high expectations of him this season. I think it's the same for everyone. We said it right at the start, before the season started, that we just need players to step up like big time, and it doesn't help when you've got a few injuries as well. That doesn't help things at all. But obviously, he did change things early on in the second half, and did bring on Stack for Longstaff, and Longstaff didn't particularly have a great game by his standard, but he was helping us win the ball back high up the pitch. He did some clever tackles, which earned us some corners. His set piece taking was poor yesterday. Even for the free kick, you could tell that he was going to blaze that one over the bar. But someone on Twitter caught my eye, because they were saying, this is crying out for Stack to come in for Longstaff, and I was like, well, maybe he knows more than I do, but I don't think that should happen, because I think we look so much more assured with Longstaff in the team. We look way more solid, even if he's making mistakes. And I think he came on and we just looked so out of shape and conceded a goal. So it's it was frustrating, and I think it was the wrong decision. What about you?
Yeah, I think on Ampadu, I thought it was his worst game I've ever seen him have in a Leeds shirt. But I do think that he's had a good season, to be fair. Probably last couple of games, he's been good, but you can see errors there. I think he's let his man drift off him for a couple of goals. Although, the last one was a last minute against West Ham, and the other one was Burnley's second goal, so it didn't really make much of a difference. No, sorry, Burnley. It was Burnley's first, actually, wasn't it? So yeah, that did matter. Yeah, I like Ampadu. I think he's a great captain, great leader, and I think he's really important to Leeds for winning games. So I don't think we're in a situation where we can afford to drop him. But I thought yesterday he just had a terrible game. He was awful on the ball. He just literally passed it to Brighton players like at least 4 times, and he just can't be doing that. So when the subs came around, I did think that he might be the one to come off. But again, I thought he got the subs absolutely wrong because, as you say, James, I think we look better with Longstaff in the team, regardless of if he's having a particularly good game or not.
I know I'm preaching to the Longstaff choir anyway, aren't I? But...
definitely, definitely. But if you think about it, like, do you want a midfield of Aronson, Ampadu, and Stack? You know, I don't. Sorry, I really don't. And I think that was a big part of losing that game, because when he made the subs, it was only 1-0, and within a couple of minutes, it was 3-0. So yeah, for me, it should have been a midfield of Ampadu, Longstaff, and Stack, and be hard to beat. And who knows, coming into the last 5-10 minutes, you turn on the pressure and you see what you get from it. So yeah, I think you got it all wrong yesterday. And look, I like Farke, but I'm very much someone who'll criticize when I feel there's criticism to be labelled. And it's funny because our home form is decent. Now, granted, it's only 2 wins out of 5, so it's not super. But it is decent. So it's almost like every week we go, well done, Farke. And then next week we go, that's terrible, Farke. But it is true. Like, you do have to look at it and go, yeah, look, he's onto something at home. He seems to have tapped into what we need at home. But Christ, he needs to do the same away. He needs to figure out a way. Actually, doing the same is the problem. As Rocco said, we're not hard to beat. And we need to be. We've recruited to be hard to beat. But we're not playing a style of football or a tactical style of football that makes us hard to beat away from home. We're too easy to play against.
Seems like there's a few failures, isn't there? Because if I don't disagree, and I'll question Farke as well. And yeah, it seems to me like there's disconnects. There's things that he could be doing better, I'm sure. But then if Ampadu's playing so badly in midfield, it's not going to make any difference what we do. Like, we need Ampadu to be completely on it. It's a few weeks since I was saying that it was a £40 million player, or maybe I even said 60. I can't remember. And now, now after a couple of bad games, but this is the thing as well. Like, they're new to it. They're coming into it. Still young lads. A lot of them. They're going to be inconsistent, I suppose. They're not accomplished Premier League players yet. But yeah, when you look at the teams that have stayed up. Well, it's a long time ago now, but they had players like, I don't know, Ivan Toney scored a boatload of goals, or like Fulham, they signed Willian, and he was class for them. Who have we got that's going to be brilliant? It is worrying.
No, we're Okafor. Rocco is your answer.
Yeah,
I mean, we should pluck him out because he did have a good game and was trying to create things for us. But we also can't rely on one person. We've been there before with Rafinha, and we still almost got relegated that season. So we need the whole team to step up. And I think the one question to ask really is this just a harsh Premier League lesson that we've had 2 of them now. Arsenal was a harsh lesson, and I think this is what we need to learn from, because it's more. I get the whole home versus away narrative, but I just feel like it's more opponent based. It's, we should be playing differently to our opponents. And there's a false sense of security that we'll play in a certain way and we'll win one week, so we feel like we can carry it into the next game. But it just doesn't work like that when you've got teams at this level that are so good. If we do play like what we tried to set out and play, how we tried to set out and play against Brighton every week, then we're going to lose a load of games, and we might win 1 or 2 here and there. But I think you've got to set up in a way that's based on your strengths and what you think you can do to get at least a point out of a game.
Yeah, I think so as well. But yeah, I just always come back to it. It does come down to the players. Like, they have to deliver. Whatever Farke wants them to do, they have to deliver. And I'm not making an excuse for Farke whatsoever, but whatever they do, like, imagining them going out at the City ground, whatever Farke does, whatever team he picks, whatever he sets out to do, if they're not winning their individual battles, then they've got no chance. We'll just get pumped. So yeah, it is that is the case, but also mainly the players have to deliver it. And obviously, if the manager sets them up in a way that helps them to deliver, then yeah, that's what you want. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just like thinking about imagining that Forest game, and thinking about our players against theirs. And at this point, it's hard not to think pessimistically.
I challenge you on that, Rocco. So the idea of winning our individual battles. What are the real chances of us winning our individual battles against teams that have 11 players that are better than our 11 players? I would say that's fairly slim.
Yeah.
So we need to adopt a tactic that collectively allows us to get results. And that tactic might be going back to what Daniel Farke said after the Luton game. Any point on the road is a good point. So why don't we play for wins at home and draws away? Why not just do that? Like,
if you're inviting
set
pressure,
up. You are?
I don't know, invite pressure and hope to.
But
there's
a difference between. Yeah, there's a difference between inviting pressure, just sitting with a low block, for instance, rather than being quite rigid across the entire pitch. So, yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think some players yesterday had poor games, and I think we just weren't set up right as well. It's just like the ultimate combo. I mean, that tends to be when you get decimated, isn't it? When you lose 3-0 or 5-0 or whatever, it is a combination of those things. But I think everyone overanalyzes things nowadays. Everyone talks on a podcast after the game and has things to sort of delve into, and that's where we're at. But I think it is a combination of those things, really. It's just annoying. Like it's annoying because we know and feel we should be doing better, and we want to be beating teams like Brighton. I go back to what they said I can't remember who it was. I think it was maybe their CEO said at the start of the season that how many years have they been in the Premier League now? And they're established now. And they're talking about consistently trying to push into Europe. Like, they've been here for a number of years and they're still not saying we're going to be in Europe. That's how tough it is. And we're just fighting to survive. That's all we've got at the minute. So this is the kind of opponent we're going to come up against time and time. And we've got a horrible run of fixtures, tricky one at Forest next weekend. And yeah, I think we've just got to find ways to get points. If it's being a bit dirty and losing a bit of our style of play, maybe that's the right thing to do. I think we're gonna have to do it, like the Newcastle game, because the Newcastle game as well was one of those where I think we played particularly well and quite rigid and caused Newcastle some problems, but they also had an off day as well, maybe. And they've not been particularly playing well. I think they're a point ahead of us.
One point ahead of us. Yeah. So they've had an off season.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there's obviously loads to play for, and it's hard because everyone feeling as they feel at the minute, just annoyed at the situation, is totally valid. But it kind of is where we are where we thought we would be, and it's going to be a challenge for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and people would say that we're on course, we're doing what we need to do because, well, we're not in the bottom three, and that's the other thing, when people on Twitter, he has to go now. Every time we lose, like that's the thing that makes me defend Farke more, because it just annoys me so much that's like just the go-to thing. Oh, we've got to sack Farke now, when actually he's got our heads above water anyway. It's not like we're bottom and we're losing ground on the 17th place team. But yeah, who knows? Might be the right thing. Probably find out one day.
Do we talk about the Oh, go on, Rock.
To defend Farke as well, because as I say, I want to dish it out where it's deserved. But James, you actually said it in our chat. It's a failure of recruitment as well. Like, imagine if we had a right winger who was as dangerous as Noah Okafor. Because to be fair, Okafor does look dangerous. I'm not saying he's the best player we've ever had, but he looks a cut above what we have in the attacking areas. If we had a player of similar standard on the right hand side, which Daniel Farke wanted, then maybe he could play a different style of football, or this style of football that might be more effective. So I think he's been operating with a bit of his hand behind his back as well. Like we've said from the start that the recruitment team didn't fully finish the jigsaw with regards to the attacking options that we needed to see out the season. So I've got one more thing for you on that one as well. But yeah, I do think he's, the attacking options are not helping him at all.
I mean, the whole thing about better players is you imagine someone like Okafor on the right and being able to run at teams and cause them problems, and Gnonto can do a bit of that, but not to the same level, and he will come back. But it's not even that, is it? It's like you have better players and you cast doubt in the mind of your opponent, and there was just no doubt cast in the mind of any Brighton player yesterday. I think that's part of the issue. So there's no one sort of second guessing, should I be stood in this position? Should I drop off? Should I go forward? It's just they just play how they want.
Yeah.
So I think like you say, Darragh, to your point, I probably agree that most players on the pitch are probably better. But it's just annoying that even players like Bogle, who's been so good, just had an off day as well, and Goodmanson, who's been solid. We should probably talk about the two of the goals, do we? Or do we just bin them off?
Well, they're the exact same as the first goal. It's the same goal, just repeated 3 times. They get down to the byline, they cut it back, someone scores.
A friend of mine
messaged.
A friend of mine said, classic Pro Evo goal. That was the one where you'd always used to run forward and pass it back and knock it in the goal. It's just not very predictable and easy to score.
The guy that scored both the goals.
Sorry, Robert, you go ahead.
I was going to say the guy that scored both the goals cost 14 million. Not a lot, is it? Good scouting into Miami.
But Jorginho Rutter set 2 of them up, so arguably they cost a lot more to score those goals.
And he refused to celebrate as well. He didn't.
Yeah, I love Georgie.
I liked his reaction to the third goal. That was quite cute, wasn't it? Little cutie pie.
His little flick on the second was very good, wasn't it? It's annoying.
No, sorry. No, it came off road on.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Sorry to disappoint you.
Which actually took it away from Perry, because Perry, I think, would have had it.
Yeah.
That's annoying. I watched the replays once and I was like, that's annoying. Thanks everyone who's been commenting, by the way. Steve Brown and did mention Forest, Villa, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Brentford, Palace, Sunderland. Can't see many points coming from those games, but I hope I'm wrong. It's a tough run, that is.
You honestly never know. This is part of the frustration with this Leeds team, is that we go out at home and we play great football and play really well and get in people's faces, and you go, yeah, that's a team that's competing and will give anyone a game, and then we roll over against Burnley and Brighton, and you go, that's a team that's going to get relegated. I don't know which Leeds is going to show up, but for me, as I said, having done a little bit of research for me, it's not a player issue, it's a tactical issue. I think we need to address our away tactics.
Someone might need to verify this, or John, you've probably already verified it, but Farke has 4 wins from 47 away games in the Premier League and Bundesliga. Yeah, sounds like something needs to change, doesn't it? There you go. The stats don't lie.
I think we even struggled in the Championship, didn't we, as well? But mainly blamed it on London or early kickoffs. But we went through some sticky periods away from then.
You got to pretty much go through London to get to Brighton, so maybe that's still an issue.
The problem. London and below.
The problem with having such poor away from form is that it gives puts a massive amount of pressure on your home form. So I mean, if our target is 10 wins, then we need 9 of them to come at home. Are we really going to get a 50% win ratio at home? Because we don't have that at the moment. So I don't know where that leaves us. It puts us a lot of pressure. We're just, I think, as I've said it before about managers when they get to sack, it's always because they don't fix something that obviously needs to be fixed. He's got to do something about the away form, and it's not even about winning games. Got to get some draws on the board first. Be hard to beat, because we're not that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Farke did say that they were better and we weren't brave enough, and he did there was no excuses of praise Brighton's press. I know a few people were getting annoyed about him sort of saying we'd had more corners and whatnot, which I think I get it. Like, it is annoying because you're just trying to pull out positives in a situation where we've been pretty poor, but the set pieces were shocking, like really bad. I know we touched on it slightly earlier, but every time one was swung in, I just thought, oh my, we're back to sort of our Championship standard of set piece taking here. But anyway, what else do you want to cover? I know, Darragh, you've got one more thing this week, but is there anything else you want to cover off?
I don't think
Are we,
so.
are we done with this? No one wants to hear us, do they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
stick it in the bin.
Darragh, what is hang on? Let's pull up. You didn't get off of this as well. We need your one more thing video. Where is it? Hang on.
There's just one more thing.
So you've made me paranoid about it now. So now instead of saying one more thing, I say one more thing.
You stop saying Sunderland as well.
Yeah. I feel like Rocco's bullied him out of these. I'm not taking any blame for it. You two are the bullies of the podcast.
Right. So my one more thing this week is Joe Gelhardt. 6 goals in the championship, I believe. Another one at the weekend. He's on a bit of a roll, so I took it upon myself to do a little bit of research, and I went and watched every goal he scored this season. I actually watched the highlights. They're not. I'll be honest. I didn't do extended highlights, short 3-minute highlights. He is creating a lot of chances. He is scoring a good few goals. He looks sharp. He looks dangerous. I think, as a Leeds player under contract who was once very important to keeping us up, I would be reluctant to throw him in the bin and say he went on loan purely for a sale. I think I recall, now I'm not going to say, I gotta say this. There was a young lad called Gareth Bale at Spurs who was going on loan to the Championship to Nottingham Forest because he couldn't get a game, and he played one game in the FA Cup against Leeds United, and he tore us apart, and he went on to keep his place in the Spurs team. We all know what happened to him. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Joffrey, Game of Thrones. What I am saying is, if you have a player who goes out on loan, regardless of how poor you think he is, and if you think he needs to be on loan so he can get a sale, if he excels, bring him back. So I looked at the goals, and I'm a big fan of people who slot goals into the bottom corner, because to me that's cool head. Rafinha did it all the time. The big, this big banging it into the top corner. Half time it goes over the bar. Players who slot the ball into the bottom corner are the coolest finishers in the game. Nearly every goal this season he scored has been slotted into the bottom corner. He's creating good chances. He's free. He's a good player. We know what he's like when he hits form. He has that potential. I really think we should recall him. I think, I wouldn't even try to wait till January. If we can get him back now, get him back. If wait till January, get him back. We need the options. He's free. It'll cost us nothing. If that means he sits on the bench for 5 months until the end of the season, so be it. That's better be on our team than his. But I do think there's something in it when someone is in form in whatever league, and then they play the next game for Leeds. I'd give him a chance. I honestly would. I didn't see anything negative when I looked at all those highlights. What do you think?
Need to get onto Isaac, find out whether it's possible, see what's in the contract.
I think they have an option to purchase, don't they? If they go up, I think maybe. And also, does his contract end at the end of the season as well? So, I mean, he's probably not going to come back to Leeds, is he? And sign a new deal. I wouldn't have thought so, unless someone gives him a good offer. I mean, he's always in a strong position to negotiate a decent salary elsewhere then, isn't he? So, but yeah, I think it's hard, isn't it? Because if we get one injury that's a few months, all of a sudden we're very shy of players, aren't we? In an attacking position. So
he's different to what we have as well. He's different to the other 3 strikers.
But we didn't use him in the Championship when we needed something different. It was always kind of seen as a bit of a risk. So I don't know whether he would now.
Well, he couldn't play. I don't think he'd play up front. I mean, someone just said that he's playing on the wing.
He's playing off the right, yeah.
Yeah, if he's coming in and scoring, or even, number 10, potentially. I mean, basically, obviously he doesn't do the running of Aronson, but yeah, we'd be more dangerous with Joffrey than Aronson. That is for darn sure.
Premier League proven he scored a goal against Norwich, didn't he?
He did. He saved us.
What's important to remember here, though, is I'm not suggesting that because he couldn't get a game for his last season, it's the same thing. I'm saying,
he's
I
got
understand
experience
that, and
now,
I know why he didn't get it. He's in form. He's one of the top strikers now in the Championship, and he's ours. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, I'm like, somehow he has managed to hit form again. He's starting to show some of that potential and promise that he had when he was with us previously. If you're going to give him one more chance, now is the time to do it, because he does look really good. And I should ask anyone, watch their next game, because what I saw in those highlights was a really good player.
I guess it's a watch this space, see what happens, and yeah, we'll get on to Isaac, see what he says, get some thoughts on that. But yeah, I know it's hard after a loss, but now's not the time to lose our heads. There's a very tough period coming up, and more
Lose it
annoyingly
then.
that you want. Sorry.
We'll lose it after that period's over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once that's over, your heads can go. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, it's even a few weeks before we're back at Ellen Road, isn't it? Which is more of the sickening thing. Yeah, it is what it is. But let's stay positive, and you never know. Like Darragh says, you never know. We could beat Man City.
You never
Done
know.
it before
We've done it before
with 10 men.
with 10 men, so it can be done. But yeah, thanks everyone who's tuned in on the live stream, and if everyone could like, subscribe, and all that stuff that Darragh normally asks for, that would be great. That includes anyone listening on the audio version on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Just hit the subscribe button. It's much appreciated, and you can leave a comment on Spotify now as well, and we always reply. So yeah, thanks ever so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all again soon. Cheers.